welcome to Bracking Rights, episode... go on, get your 6 fingers out. 11, there we go.
I'll do. 6 fingers out from Norwich.
Well...
That I'm aware of.
It's clearly in your heritage or something. Yeah. What a week.
First things
What
first.
a week. Yeah, first things first, I want to point out for anyone that's watching.
I know what I was going to say.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, obviously, people don't know, but we're recording just after 6 p.m. Tickets for the semi-final have gone on sale. Did you get them, gents? Did you manage to get... I'm asking the wrong way, aren't I? Sorry. Did you manage to get your ticket, Craig?
I did.
I managed to get mine. Good.
You're welcome for the Wi-Fi password and that as well, boys. So
My 4G
carry on
works
having your
anyway,
gig.
so we're all good.
So, yeah, for anyone watching, you'll notice that we're not quite in tribal, but
Yeah, we are.
we have managed to somehow cobble together a green screen behind us, so it kind of looks like we're in tribal, because they do a lot for us, so we thought we'd send Craig to Boises to get some green fabric and
East
figure
All
out how
Boys
to do
is.
this, and I think it's turned out all right.
It's got an upstairs.
What?
East All Boys is. It's got an upstairs.
You can buy a budgie. East All Boys is.
But in the West All one, the blue tack's green.
It is grim. To be fair to
I'm
Tribal,
lost.
it's
I
more...
have no idea what's going on.
It's our fault, not Tribal's fault, that we're here today, not at the actual home of the pod.
No, it's
just
not our
probably
fault.
from-
No,
It's my fault.
Yeah, let's
'cause I
call
was
him
at
out.
work.
It's Craig's fault.
I was at work
was
last
being
night, so yeah.
Craig,
it was
can
me.
you get Monday nights off? Yeah, I'll do that.
No, we agreed Monday days, not nights.
Whatever. It's Craig's fault that we're in Dean's childhood bedroom with a bit of green fabric behind us. But yeah, anyway, sponsored again by Chris Griffin, carpet fitter, carpets and flooring. So we got about 2 minutes to talk about the game last week.
That long.
Yeah. Atmosphere was good
Yep.
for the first 20 minutes.
So move on. Talk about Warrington next week.
Yeah, and so we'll play Warrington next.
This week now. We're recording late
Is it
this week.
Saturday?
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday, yeah.
Don't even know when
No,
it is.
come
He's
on
given
then,
up.
let's-
Don't even know when the next game is.
One loss and he's thrown in the towel.
He's reverted back to last season.
Get out. Go on then. I'll let you two start.
If we're going to do it a little bit different, because we played each other, so we're not going to split, we'll try and have a nice conversation.
Yeah,
We should
try.
still go first
Or
because
a
we did win.
conversation.
Yeah, you can lead the conversation to begin with.
Okay.
Yeah? Well, we'll go with that then. First point I made, you've already touched on it there, you alluded to it earlier, was the atmosphere was electric before the game. Even when we were trying to sing Red Red Robin in the stands before the game, and you turned the PA system up, which I thought was a bit of classic shithousery, and I'm all there for it.
It's a good job we've not got a swear jar in it, because they're so childish.
I'm there for it. I'm there for all of that. So yeah, I found that pretty funny. But
What was it? Was it
From
Eddie?
about an-
It was Eddie Richards, wasn't it? Once you lot started singing, they turned up the DJ.
yeah, or whatever it was.
Which
but
I
yeah.
liked. It's never that loud. I thought it was class.
It did bring a really good atmosphere, to be fair. And
From about an hour before kick-off, it was bouncing in there.
it was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And then bloody clappers are annoying.
Oh,
Oh,
whoever
yeah.
thought that. God.
I couldn't believe that. That
Most people,
We spoke about
most of
this.
the old fans were using him as fans because obviously he was sat right in the sun
Yeah.
in the east stand, anyways, and you saw loads of people like that on the east
Getting
stand.
hot under the collar, seeing Rovers playing so well. Is that what was
Not for the first 20 minutes or the last 20 minutes, but yeah, the 40 in the middle was superb, I would say.
So all we needed was 40 minutes to beat them.
And no magic, Mikey. Just saying.
We'll get on to that. Because that happened about, what, 20
minutes in.
15, 20 minutes in?
15,
Yeah.
just over 15, I think it was. And at the time, I didn't actually see what had happened, but then obviously watching it, because somebody had said he'd been hit off the ball, and I was like, but he's 20 yards away from the play of the ball. Where he kicked it, but
He was caught
he hobbled,
just before
didn't he?
that,
Yeah.
but that wasn't what caused the injury. Well, we don't know for certain. And there was nothing illegal in the way he was caught. It was actually after that when he was running through, like running a line.
Yeah, it looked like he'd pulled something maybe. But
Have we... You know what, we'll... I was just about to check because I did have a thing open on my phone that as an update. Do any of you know what the update is?
There is an update on Mikey.
Yeah, okay.
He has been for scans, and it is an injury to his groin, and it isn't considered serious, but it is considered enough of an injury that he won't be available for our game on Friday at home versus Wigan.
What about the derby?
They haven't said.
Not that it matters, because Jez and tore us apart, but, you know.
Look at what you could have had.
Yeah. Thanks, Radders.
I do think is a fair point with Mikey's injury, though. The timing was quite poor, given how well we played after that. But that isn't reflective of Jez being better than Mikey or Mikey doing anything wrong. It's that we had a really big feeling out period for the opening 15, 20 minutes. We was always going to kick on. We just happened to do it with a replacement hooker at 7 instead of our starting 7.
When Mikey went off, no one could have envisaged it kicking on that well, though, with Jez. He just seemed to... He didn't even need any bedding in time to just... He just come on and just slotted straight in. But you talked about them first 20 minutes then. It was very... very nervy.
It was scrappy, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot of errors.
There was errors, uncharacteristic errors, I would say.
I think you had one. You had one from Warrior Hargreaves and Minchella.
Warrior Hargreaves, Broadbent did one, Davis did one where he went to catch it. But then after that, we did seem to settle down when Mikey went off, and I think Willie Peters, bit tongue in cheek I don't know if you've heard his interview, but he says it just settled us down when Mikey went off, because obviously Mikey's that chaos on the pitch kind of thing. So when Jez came on, it brought a bit of structure, and that did seem to calm us down a little bit.
I think it threw us.
Yeah.
It really, because I wouldn't say it was containing Mikey for the first 20 minutes, but we had a plan, and it seemed to be working to a degree. And then when he'd gone off, it was, oh shit, what do we do now?
I think it was a term of the rest of the players sort of looking at each other and going, we need to up our game here. We are a good side at the minute. I don't think that's too braggy to say. We know what we're capable of, but we also do like that chaos that Mikey brings. And I think the team themselves was aware that they'd made a few errors, uncharacteristic, as we've said, particularly from our captain, from Minnie, who's usually so clean throughout most games. He doesn't make many mistakes. And I think the message sort of got through the ranks that he's gone now. And we are not going to win this game without him if we carry on doing what we're doing. And that's what brought us tighter, and that's what made us pick up and start to play some really good rugby, some of the type of rugby we have been playing for a lot of this season that we didn't show in the first 20 minutes. We showed glimpses, but obviously, as you say, it was scrappy and we made a lot of errors, and I think that's why we did it.
Did that up? Sorry, go on.
As much as Jez did a fantastic job when he came on, I am kind of glad it wasn't Mikey on that side, because we had issues ourselves on that side, keeping players on. Will Price coming on his debut with one training session, not learning our defensive structures, and then I think he had 3 different people that played at second row next to him through the game. So imagine Mikey being on, throwing that chaos towards that uncertainty and that inconsistency in that area of the pitch. I think you'd have put more than 32 past us with Mikey on the pitch.
I do think Mikey looked as though he was going to perform the way he performed the previous week at Huddersfield, where he was creating things from nothing. He was building into the game well. You've hit a point though, because I did want to ask you guys about this, and it's about Price, and it's not to bag on him. I agree, he's flown over. I've seen all the arguments online. You can't call him tired, he'll have flown business class, he'll have slept all the way. We did better with Schneider when he only flew over and had 2 days. Not all that's irrelevant. My whole point with it was a risk playing him. I didn't expect Cartwright as a coach to be the type of person to take them risks, and it obviously didn't pay off. In hindsight, does that change your opinion of whether he should have played or not?
I think our hands were tied.
Yeah,
With Cust.
Yeah.
It was less of a risk to play him than it was Kemp and Charles, who were just back. Ideally, Cust would have started, Price would have been on the bench, and you could have waited till a few people tied out and could have brought him on for a little bit of a spark, spelled him, but it wasn't to be. I think our hands were tied in that department.
Seems to be the LFC way the last couple of seasons, doesn't it? Where you've signed, but I spoke to you about this on Friday, Dean, where you're signing players and they're having to go straight in with no training.
I think this is different with Price. We ain't just Price ain't just been brought in because everyone else isn't performing, or we are low on troops a little bit at the minute, but it's not the same as it has been previous years, I don't think.
If Cust was fit, I would have imagined that Price would have started on the bench, and the way the game went, especially Rapana, who I think we're going to touch on, I imagine Price would have come on at fullback at some point.
Me personally, looking at that, I would have taken Burrow off. I thought he was a very negative influence on your side. excuse me, he was giving penalties away. He was, he was getting involved in that niggle and that where it knocks you off your game. So I would have taken him off if Cust was fit, obviously. If Cust was fit, then moved Cust to 9 and then put Price in the halves. But that's just me.
Did show one thing, Price, though, didn't he? Knows how to whine to the referees.
He learned from his dad.
Well, yeah.
The way
Knows how to find a gap on the wing, though.
the ref was
That was
already
probably switched
going
off.
to check the try, and he couldn't get out of his face. Oh, I've been pushed over. He ran into me.
Yeah, but so that
The ref had
I hate
already
watching
Don't get me
explained.
started on that,
Right.
no try.
So I hate watching it. I will admit, I do hate watching it. I hated, I hate when anyone runs up to the ref and starts doing it. But look at all the top players.
Oh, they all do it.
They all do it.
Yeah.
Tompkins, Sinfield, Farrell. They all do it. And they do it because they get in the ref's ear, and then the ref eventually will start subconsciously maybe listening to what they're saying. Price Senior would have done it when he was playing, I imagine. It's
It's a part of the game we don't like, but he did.
yeah.
It did make me laugh because he'd already made the decision to go up and check it, and whether you think it was right or wrong, it doesn't matter.
Once he'd already made the decision to go up and check it, then it's out the ref's hand, so there's no point in even talking to him about it because it's up to the video
Put
ref.
the video ref will hear on the microphone.
I don't think the video ref will pay attention to it.
No, it might
personally.
not, but that's
You'd like
the
to think they
intent
do, but
from
Especially
the
not
player.
someone like, was it Ben Thaler? You'd like to think
no
he was
idea.
experienced enough to not buy
Yeah,
into
he
that.
wouldn't have listened to that.
Yeah, he's a
But
good video ref.
As for it being a no try, I said it at the time, didn't I? I think poor defensive reads now gain you a penalty because that was what that was from Price for me.
He wasn't knocked over. He committed to the tackle and wrapped his arms.
Absolutely.
So, and then wanted to complain afterwards. And it didn't ultimately have an effect on the game or the scoreline or anything, really. We still won, but there where you get frustrated, because in other games that can be a massive moment. And it was, in my opinion, a poor defensive read. I agree with Craig.
It's not often that I get people agreeing with me. Even Jimmy's nodding.
That's
over
why I
there,
wanted to
so-
talk about it.
Even Jimmy's nodding, so I must be
It's
doing
part of
something
our
right.
game. What I'd like,
See
not
stamps
just
out.
Hull's game, part of
The game.
the
yeah.
game as a whole. Yeah. It's trying to buy a penalty, and I don't like that. It's a bit too footballish for me.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, that came in a few years ago, didn't it? That play acting, that rolling around trying to win a penalty, which is still there, especially if people think they've had a
But
crucial tackle.
They've
or-
tried to stomp it out. They've
Oh, yeah.
gone with the green cards thing to
Yeah.
say, if you go down and
fair
it
play.
stops
Yeah, yeah,
play, you're going off for
absolutely.
2 minutes. They're introducing things, unlike the FA and football.
Well,
The
they're just letting
RFL
get
are
away
actually
with it.
trying to combat this. So
We'll jump back to the game because I've took us off on that tangent.
Yeah,
and it's
again.
not that important. over
that's
the
all
overall,
right.
is it?
Susan
But-
hasn't started mourning yet.
No,
It's all
no.
good.
But yeah, look, we spoke about it a minute or two ago. Both sides looked like they'd been fired out of a cannon in that first 20 minutes. It was chaotic. It was erratic. I can't think of any other words apart from them, but it was fun to watch.
It was a derby.
My nerves did not settle down until just before our third try when we were getting on top. I was a right wreck for most of that game, but
It was good for the early part. It was good to see us stick in the arm wrestle with you, which I don't think many teams have done with you this season, especially for that the intensity that you had and we had as well. I like that part from looking from a Hull FC point of view. But yeah, when you did turn that screw after 20-25 minutes, it was quite difficult.
started suffocating you. And
Yeah.
I said, like, after we'd scored the first or maybe the second try, I was like, just keep turning them around. Just keep pinning them in their own 10, make them come 95 yards, and then, it's very rare that somebody's going to score from 95 yards away.
And that's the only difference that I felt in the opening 20 minutes where I've still favoured Rovers. It was quite evenly matched, but I felt we looked like we could score. And our errors cost us field position, cost us good attacking sets or building repeat sets. I didn't really panic many times, and that was partly a little bit of, confidence, like we'll be able to hold them out. Our D is really strong.
Yeah.
But you lacked that bit of shape, and we know the reasons why.
Yeah,
Price was slotted in, there's no Cust and so on. I will talk about Caesar in a bit because I want to discuss him as well.
Yep.
He wasn't offering a lot. But all those things for me that we did edge out the opening 20, and then obviously after that, we ran riot for the second
that was
20.
like the Rovers we've known for a few
Yes.
seasons, and they're like, the link up plays, the connections, and that comes from benefiting really from having a relatively injury free squad on a Rovers front. Last season, I think most of the players that we would class as a starting 13 probably played 95% of the games for us, maybe missing 1 week for a rest. Or it's an absolutely fantastic position to be in for us, and just hope it continues. But then on the flip side to that, we will see what we're actually made of, what our depth is like if we do start picking up a couple of injuries. So
it's a tough sport. Injuries will happen. It's a derby. It's a bit different. I think there was some overexcitement from some players, hence the errors. I think there was some nervousness from some players. I think it perfectly showed sometimes what derby rugby can be about, where form goes out the window, because it definitely did for both teams for periods of the game. But that opening 20 is also very reminiscent of how we approach games now. We do feel out oppositions. We do get into a game plan. And our aim is to come out of the opening quarter of the game without conceding, and then to start implement our attacking plays where we've picked out weaknesses. And I was so impressed the way we did that. I know with the tries that we scored to start with, let's all blame Rapana for letting the rugby ball bounce on the second one, because
we'll get onto that.
Yeah. But it was still, it doesn't matter what happened in regards to that ball bouncing, him going for it, not going for it. It still comes off us attacking where we chose to attack after feeling out for 20 minutes and starting to put our game plan in place. So I was pleased that we managed to do that despite a poorer opening 20 than I would have liked.
So I want to contrast what you've said there. You're saying feeling out for 20 minutes. I don't think you felt out for 20 minutes. I think you were shocked by how fast we came out. I don't think you were expecting us to come out the way that we did.
Yeah, I think that's what Josh was alluding to there, where, we didn't...
Yeah, because it doesn't matter how you come out. That's what our game plan is this season. Every team we face, we don't always go a million miles an hour, and I'm sure we did a little bit more than normal, but we do see what's coming at us and play back. And so you guys came out well, you came out quick, we held you out, you didn't score. You didn't really look like scoring so much.
Your head seemed to drop a little bit.
And then we kicked on. Now, some teams that we played this year have offered nothing in the opening 20. But other teams have. We had tough games earlier in the season against Castleford and Wakefield where we wasn't clicking. And we still had to figure out what was going on.
So the reason I say it, like, if you were just feeling it out, like, you wouldn't have been forced into the errors that you were forced into. We forced errors in that first 15, 20 minutes. Maybe not, sorry, I'm not going to say first 15, because the first 5 was quite level. But then the following 15, 20 minutes, so from 5 minutes through to 25-ish, I think we were on top. I think you were under the pump, and I think you did really well to hold us out, because a lot of that's to do with the fact that we didn't offer a lot. But in terms of the errors that you made, the meterage that we made, the actual positioning that we managed to get on the field, the field position that we got, I don't think that was you feeling out the game. I think that was us taking the game by the scruff of the neck, but then not offering anything when we got to the try line.
I think we're very close to being on the same point, but we're approaching it from two different sides.
But we're not on the same point, Joshua.
I know.
That's my point.
We don't know what other teams are going to bring, so we spend that period. And good teams, if we are under the pump, as you've just said we was, they will score points, regardless of how good our D is. And that you didn't do that. And we spent that period understanding what you was offering or not offering. You didn't offer anything, you didn't score.
I think Dean wants to talk. But I've not finished yet.
I sort of agree with you, and I sort of agree with you a little bit. I don't think we had them under the pump. I don't think we offered a lot, but we kept in the arm wrestle.
Yeah, I think we gave you the field position that you had. It wasn't end. We gave you the field positions from poor errors from ourselves. That's my view on it.
Could you not say that we forced those errors, though?
Not really, because you look at the Davis knock-on, no one around him.
You look at the Hargreaves
Not a
knock-on
knock-on,
on the
sorry,
touch line,
fingered it
on
into
the try
touch.
line, sorry. It was a good tackle under the
And
ball,
then-
so we forced that error.
That one maybe, yeah, but then you've got Broadbent, where it's meant to be a pass to Mikey, but Broadbent's tried to get his hands to it.
But that could come from...
But the
pressure from
the defender wasn't pushed right up enough for me, as watching a professional athlete, a professional rugby player, with the distance the defender was away from him, he shouldn't have made that error.
I'll be honest, I think you're both wearing red and white specs.
And I applaud you for trying to find some positives.
You've got to, you
No,
have
and
to,
I'm
you have
saying
to try
that
and find
tongue-in-cheek,
it.
but I do mean that. I do think you offered something. I'm going to say again and get all the comments online. Show me when you're going to play an 80-minute performance, right?
Agreed.
Show me when Caesar's going to play more than 40 minutes. right? Tell me when you're not going to keep using SASA, right? And I know you'll come back and say, oh, well, he was helped by his forwards. Not for 80 minutes, right? And so it's great that you're looking for the positives. But we're here to discuss the derby that we won, right? And in those opening 20, if you had us under the pump and that's what you think, that goes back to show where Hull are at as a team right now, because you've got to do better than that, regardless of the opposition. We do have to
do better. I think so. For me, it starts off mentally. It started off with a really, really poor captain's challenge from us. A laughable captain's challenge.
That was my next point.
That's an ego challenge.
So yeah, that was an ego challenge.
That's embarrassment.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, there were other points in the game. If you watch the game back, there was at least one other point in the game where you lot played the ball in exactly the same manner that Caesar did, and nothing was given.
I don't think we played the ball like Superman and dive forward.
There was one where you did a little skip, head down, exactly what Caesar did, and nothing.
We actually called it out at the point. I was like, isn't that what Caesar did?
And I'm not saying it changed the game, but I'm just on about consistency.
Did the Rovers man go to ground?
I don't know
if he went to the ground, but I don't think Caesar ended up going.
Yeah, he did. He dived right forward into whoever the square marker was.
Because Caesar played for that. Caesar played for the hand on his back.
Both ones, the player hadn't stood up and regained his feet before he played the ball. That's the point. And both of them were leaning forward at the time they played the ball. No, I don't think it's going to change the result. I think our Reds went down after that.
Just go back to Caesar, please, before I move on from him then.
Okay.
That point right there, and I know I keep trying to say about him, like, you keep saying he's the best 7-0 and all these amazing things that he's done,
jokingly.
Right? Yeah, jokingly so, but talk about a stupid thing to do. We argued the other week, we discussed, we didn't argue, about signing these players.
Don't do that.
Yeah? Signing these players across, right, that you're saying they're going to be leaders and going to do the right thing. To make a challenge because you're embarrassed that you've lost your footing like that because you've tried to play for something, is Caesar not showing he's a leader of that team.
Yeah, you could say that. I maybe won't go that far, but yeah, I think Caesar's point was if he'd have made that challenge down under, probably would have been successful.
Go back down under them.
But that's the point though. That's the inconsistency.
But
with the rules. Anyway,
there wasn't enough from Jez for him to.
He had his hand on his back. He had his hand on his back.
But he was pulling his arm away. There was no forward pressure from Jez to sort of like push him down. But
as I said, if that was down under, it probably would have been given. So you've got to go with that mindset of the player expects the rules to be the rules when they're not.
But the professional athletes.
For me, if someone's got their hand on your head, just shrug your head away and then play the ball.
Yeah.
We was coming out of our own backfield. I've got to agree with Josh. We was coming out of our own backfield. Caesar has to do better there, especially as a captain. If there's a young lad doing it, you can sort of let it get away because get a bit excited. But
I'm not saying Josh is wrong. I'm just trying to get into the mindset of Caesar. Like, I'm not saying that what anyone here is saying is wrong. I'm just saying I'm trying to get into the mindset of Caesar as to why he may have challenged that. I wouldn't have challenged it, and when it got challenged, I was like, "Yeah, we're going to lose this. It's a stupid challenge." But what? Sorry. Anyway, getting past the actual challenge itself, the following play that you guys got from that, I don't think our Reds were fully switched on. I think our Reds might have gone down a little bit. You guys spread the ball, scored a great try.
It was the first time in that point in the game we looked a bit leggy and slow in defence, and I called it on the play before when you come over to the east. You was over at the east side, and then you chipped right across on just before that tackle. Before you try, I was like, we look slow, and then you put your play on, and it went right across the field, and it was a nice try. But maybe you had worn us out a little bit to do that, or that challenge had affected us a little bit. I don't know, but you just seem to get us slow then.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but if I was players like Hardacre and Rapana, I would have been very, very frustrated with Caesar. They both said, do not challenge it. You could see it clearly on the replays. They said, do not challenge it, and he still did it anyway. He went ahead and did it. So, again, like Josh said, it's a bit of an ego thing, isn't it? But anyways, let's move on from that now, because I think we're a bit pressed for time, aren't we?
We're going some tries.
Yeah, so
I've got little notes wrote down here. I've got first try was a thing of beauty, which we've already just spoken about.
And against your stronger side, really.
Yeah,
and which
Yeah.
gave me a
Yeah.
boost of confidence. As I was watching the game, and I thought, this is good, because I expected us to probably wear you down after the first 20 and maybe go down the opposite side. To score it that way gave me, this is good.
Score on our right edge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Left edge.
Yeah.
first
Our
Left
right
edge.
edge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your
yeah.
right edge.
Second try, we've already spoke about it.
So
letting the ball
I want
bounce.
to go on to this. Made me kick that. I'm not having.
Oh, absolutely.
But you said about Rapana needs to do better, and I've got a lot to get on Rapana. Well, not a lot, but I've got to dig on Rapana
I did
later.
mean in general about the game as well.
All right, but it was one of them where you can sort of forgive your winger and fullback. Rapana was set for the deep kick, for the high hanging kick, where Budgie's probably going to challenge him in the air. Briscoe was set just to try and block a run from the centre or the winger. Some would say lucky. I say you buy your own luck. You work and you get. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And I think that paid off for you then.
It was one of the times you actually put a bit of kick pressure on us.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for you guys, you
Ball
did the
just
right
It could have
things.
gone
Yeah,
anywhere, that
absolutely,
kick. It could have gone out on the
absolutely.
full. It could have gone backwards, but no, it just landed in the sweet spot.
Yeah, and bounced.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think as professional athletes, so this is probably me seeing it as a Rovers with my specs on, but if that had happened to Rovers, I would have been fuming. They are both experienced professionals with X amount of games under the belt at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been
But
frustrated. But
frustrated a little bit back.
I can see, yeah, definitely.
I think our problem comes with, we've been discussing, and obviously I've particularly been digging at these signings you've made, and yet these are the ones that make errors and don't have great games, and so it's hard for us sometimes to turn around and say, yeah, you're right, that ball can bounce anywhere, Rapana, was unlucky there. Well, no, we keep saying you've signed this guy, he's won so much down under and he's so good and he's a leader, and then when the mistakes happen against him, you're going to see them as worse and go, hang on, where is that professionalism? What has he done? Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with your point, and you are right, it could bounce anywhere, but that's why we pick up on them more as Rovers fans, because that's what we hear. These are the guys that are going to lead us to something.
Yeah. Young lad makes an error.
If that's Logan
You
Moy,
can forgive it, yeah.
and he's had a couple this year,
Moy
Logan
and
Moy.
Charles instead of Rapana and Briscoe, then you could probably understand it. But that's maybe me being a little bit critical of the mistake, of the misread, or whatever it is.
Again, to Dean's point, I don't think it was a mistake or a misread.
That's
I think
why
it was
I added
a
on to
cock
it,
up by May, who kicked it how he didn't intend to kick it,
Yeah.
and he just got lucky.
I suppose people will see that differently, won't they? People will see it as a mistake. People will see it as something that can happen at any point in a rugby game. So let's move on to the next one. This was my favourite try of ours.
100%.
100%, yeah. Mickey Mack, I'll speak about him a little bit later on as well. And then Hicker with the support. And then, I don't know who it was, I don't know if it was Susan or yourself, Josh, who said, luckily has no right to be supporting like that.
I think it was Susan who said
Was it Susan? Yeah. But it's an absolute point, and I think Dean or Jimmy counterpointed that by saying he was fresh on the pitch, which, it was, fair enough.
He was fresh on the pitch, and I'm looking at it through black and white specs. You got a really, really quick play the ball, and you left Caesar behind Mickey Mack picking it up because you got a quick play the ball, and then in turn you targeted Ashworth at that point, who come on for lane at second row, so you targeted a prop in second row. So you'd spotted weakness after a quick play the ball, but it was really well worked, and it was.
Yeah, it was.
I'll give you that.
It was beautiful.
I love the Hiku, his little video going on social media. Yeah. He's talking about all he had was this Geordie voice.
This Newcastle accent.
Yeah, this Newcastle accent screaming to me.
I was hoping he was going to try and do it, but he didn't. And then I've gone full Josh here. I've gone fourth try, Roffle.
Is this Rapana missing the play of the ball?
This is absolutely Rapana. It's shades of Danny Houghton a few years ago.
Get on that.
This is... That was the point where my heart sank.
I can imagine. I can
because
see why.
Even at 18-0 at half time,
He's still in it.
20-0 up and you've effed it up kind of thing. Well, lives rent free in my head, and I'm still looking at that and thinking we can still do this.
So
we could.
We'll get on Rapana now because you've just mentioned it. So we'll take a break from the try just a minute. So
we might not be able to get him to come on the podcast after this.
Not going to happen. So for me, two things I want to point out with Rapana. There was that one where, again, you can forgive a young kid if a Logan Moy, if a Deneve Barnforth, he's played. Well, maybe not Deneve because he's okay and he's supposed to be there. They're just having a look around, like, right, what's on next? Quick play the ball. Oh. A professional like Rapana, who's come in, who's supposed to be one of our big signings, cannot be doing that.
No.
He's an experienced pro, played in grand finals, God knows how many test matches. He has to do better. And I'm starting to agree with Josh a little bit. Now, he said it every week. He has to do better. He does have to do better. We've gone set for set, 2 or 3 sets each. We're feeling each other out again in that second half. We have to get off to a good start. The game's on in the balance for us at that point. It's either you score next try and that's it, it's done. Quick play the ball, and he's not even looking. And then he tries and kicks it. You then score from that set.
Yeah. Couple of plays later.
I am going to jump further into the game, and I don't know if anyone else has seen this, and this just summed up Jordan Rapana for me. You've got to play the ball on the fifth tackle. It's just 10 the fifth tackle. You're playing it in the northwest corner. Jordan Rapana is not involved in the tackle. He stands up, and instead of busting a gut to aim for the post, where 9 times out of 10 that's where the kick's going to go, and where it did go, because that was when your captain challenged for the Borough.
The knee. Yeah.
Or he's going to go to the opposite corner with a kick. He stands there, pirouettes and faces the fans, and then does a half-hearted jog. He's a seasoned pro, big signing, supposed to come over and help lead this team with the likes of Asiata, with the likes of Caesar. That is not good enough. Quite simply, is not good enough from him whatsoever. And I'm starting to side with Josh, and everyone's going to hate me, and you might dig on me now, but that's shocking.
Josh will teach you how to cope with that.
That's fine.
Let me say 2 things on him. One that does bag on him, and one that sort of gives a bit of almost credit to him, and it's not all his fault in some ways. So the first one is he's proving what people say about stars from the NRL only come over for a big payday. And it was actually one of our guests earlier in the season, Paul Cook, who was speaking about this, that there's always a reason people come over from us. And it's either for a payday, they've done something wrong, or they actually need a fresh start because they're not getting game time, right? And he's starting to prove that with the way he's performing, unfortunately. Now, on the flip side, try and put even a glimpse of positivity in it. I just think you utilise him in the wrong way. I really think that he should not be at fullback because it's not his best position, doesn't have the pace anymore, and he's making mistakes. But I still think there's a good player in there, an incredible rugby brain, and knows how to play the game to a high level. And having him in the centre, or even on a wing, and I know we've said before about how much you're paying him and can you play him there, it doesn't matter. If you're going to utilise him, get him into a better position, you might not see so much.
I don't know if you agree, but for me going forward with our injuries that we've picked up with Lane breaking his arm, Fash pulling out, Chamberlain now a doubt, so our 3 second rowers are now all injured. Harday could possibly move to second row this week. Rapana to centre and Price at fullback with Cuss coming in back in at 6. I think it's a good option for us, and I think we will see a better version of Jordan Rapana at centre.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Tyrone May playing at fullback.
We see a better
version. Hiku. You play him at fullback, and then he struggles. He's not very good. A few Rovers fans start questioning him. Yeah. Move him to centre, and he's just.
You can get back onto your 4th try now.
I just had Ruffle. That was it. I just wanted to touch on the.
And I look at it from an All's point of view again. I think Aidan was defending at second row at that point. Price had been left in the tackle again. Not a second row defending. Split indecision against a team like Rovers who are very free flowing in attack. They're going to punish you.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last try, I think, was just. I mean, I know you got back into it, but at that point in the game, your heads had just gone. Like, you switched off completely.
Can I say it again? We had SA at second row, and Jez had picked him out.
Yes,
quite
absolutely.
simply picked him out. I can get through him. I can step him.
I was just about to say this. Like, if you look at all your tries that you scored on your left edge, and look at our right edge, there's probably a different player at second row for every try.
Yeah,
but that's fair play to you.
Maybe
guys.
not.
I was just going to say,
maybe not
give
quite
a bit of
every
credit
try, but you know,
I get your point.
I mean, there's 2 instances there. The first try that you scored with a little kick over from May on that side would have still been Chamberlain. At that point.
Yeah.
So you've scored three tries there on our left
with
edge
3 different
players second row.
Yeah,
and 2 of them, all of them aren't even second rowers. You got a centre, 2 props.
Yeah,
well, that's
Like,
That's well targeted. If
you're
the
doing
message
well
probably
to
come on. And
We've no
target that edge because they're chopping and changing everything.
as Rovers fans, me definitely. I don't know if Josh will agree with me here, and a few others that I have spoken to, but that's something we've done really, really well over the past couple of seasons. We've noticed these little weaknesses in defences and in teams, and we've exploited them. And I think it was Jonathan Davis. He used the word relentless, and we've used it previously. And we are, because we'll find something and we'll just go at it until it breaks.
We game plan meticulously, and then we have no shame in striking at the same weaknesses time and time again, because it wins games.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You did the right thing.
So, yeah.
Just some stats here really quickly on this. So after that first 20 minutes, I found this quite interesting, and maybe you guys won't, but 46 minutes in, 95 carries from FC, 119 from Rovers. So skewed again after that second 20 minutes in the first half where we've got so much possession. But metres gained for FC, 569. Metres gained for Rovers, 920.
Jesus Christ.
That, I don't know what it is at 20 minutes. That's what flashed up. But that shows where the game turned and why your players were tired and why players were falling out the wrong position, players were slotting in, and how we was able to exploit it. And then the game was almost sort of done at that point. But I thought there was really telling in what had happened after, as we've just discussed, the opening 20 being fairly even-sided in some ways. But by the time you got 45 minutes in, it's done.
Yeah, it was that 40-minute period, wasn't it, where we was clinical. I mean, I don't like using words like clinical and like, because I'm like, it's just Rovers, We've, obviously in the past, we've had no right to use them terms to describe our side. We've seen us struggle and this, that and the other, but we were clinical, we were relentless.
Very good at using Captain's Challenge.
Yeah, there is that.
So, something I picked up on, we'll just look at our tries. You use the words, you let us back in.
I think we took our foot off the gas massively.
Peters has commented as well about some of the trying out different players in different positions in the second half and trying different things that we wouldn't try normally.
Okay.
Which, look, that's not. I think you scored 2 good tries.
Yeah.
I was dismayed that the SASA one was so quickly given as a try.
That's because it went up as a try.
Yeah. He will.
It was a try.
Yeah, I think it was a try.
I've
seen it back.
That he goes storming over from that close. 99 times out of 100, he will score that try.
Yeah.
I'm watching it again and again and again, and there is no way that clearly grounds immediately for the ref to be so clear, the video ref to go, it does. You can see hands under it, and I think it needed viewing for quite a bit longer. And I thought it was a shame, because that could be the 1 out of 100 times where a great defensive effort where a team is actually holding him up. And if a team's going to be able to do it, it's going to be a team like Rovers that are boasting the best defence in the league.
I personally think he got it down, but yeah.
I've got no problem
I'm
with
one
it.
of those, I can see why it was given.
The 2 tries that we did score, apart from Hardacres, which was a typical end-of-game try where everyone's just switched off, apart from Hardacre and Price.
He can tap his badge all he wants.
Them 2 tries, the Martin and the SASA one, are very typical tries of us this season.
The Martin one was very good.
It was a good build-up play, well set out move, nice pass from Rapana. He wouldn't have digged on him.
Well, you've digged on him, so you've got to pick out when he's done
something good. Yeah,
it's
so
fair,
there was 2. We scored them tries a lot this season.
Yeah,
and it shows to me that that's something that teams are struggling. If you can struggle to defend against it, most teams are going to struggle to defend against it. So it's something that I'd like to see us keep.
Yeah, the
keep
SASA one, like Josh said, he's going to score 99 times out of 100 from that position.
Yeah,
his size, his will. People go, "Oh, he's only scored because he's massive or whatever."
No, he
scored
scored
because of determination.
He's the best
and
prop
effort.
in the league.
Yeah.
He ran hard as hell. I'm not mad about the try being a try.
Yeah.
I was mad about the way it went out because I don't think it was that clear cut. And again, the Martin one, great try.
So we'll wrap up on this. Have we got?
Yeah. So final point for me. It wasn't brilliant, but then again, Challenge Cup games they're about winning out there. They're not about the performance as such. It's about getting in the hat for the next round. And obviously we've drawn Catalans, so quite a favourable tie, I would say, out of the 4.
I don't disagree with anything you said. I think we probably played 70% to our best across the full game. We had patches we weren't great. I'm glad we got the win, of course. It's classic Rovers. We're always looking for a bit more nowadays.
Yeah.
I was going to bag on Caesar again, just for his play the ball antics, but I actually thought the funniest moment of the game for me was the fantastic shepherding that Ashworth did on Hiku. That was my favourite penalty of the game because he shocked a little face at the end, and I just thought...
I was more impressed that he kept up with play.
Yeah.
He was going quite fast, to be fair.
That was indicative for me of the two teams you was watching. A team that was competing for part of the game in yourselves and going for it, and a team that have been playing really well in ourselves for a longer period now. And those sort of errors and those sort of cheeky plays come in because you're trying to stop teams any way you can. And when he made that and did that mistake, it was a bit of a panic move.
Yeah, hopefully, I hope we learn from things like that. The Caesar playing the ball and Ashworth. We're going to come up against these little things this year. Our players are going to do that. We're a team learning.
That's how you learn
and
and
I
develop
hope
from them negatives.
Going forward, we take the positives and we learn from the mistakes out of this game, which I think Cartwright will have them do. We can't read too much into the scoreline. But, okay, go on then.
What? No, I was wondering why he was laughing.
It's because you went...
Yeah, I thought he was
I
going
think
to
it's
say
because you
something.
look so defeated.
No. For me, I don't feel defeated after this game. Like, obviously, we as a team, LFC, got defeated, but I don't feel as a fan anywhere near. And I know I'm not comparing to last year. Whoever's going to kick off Barry or whatever your name is on YouTube, that I'm not comparing as such to last year, but I am. Look at Rovers last year, and for the majority of the season, you could probably say that your season was an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like in terms of performances, 8 out of 10. Ours, 1. 1 out of 10 for the majority, maybe a 2 at a push. That game, and Dean said it straight after the game, that game gave us a really good indication of where we actually are, where we fit. You guys this season so far, you've come out of the blocks and you're probably going to turn around and say that you're a 9 out of 10 this year. You are better this year so far than you was last. But the way that we performed and how much closer we are to you and how we've performed over the course of the season with some really tight, hard-fought wins, I'm looking at us and thinking 5s, 6s out of 10, maybe. Like, we've come on leaps and bounds. And it showed in that game. It also showed where we're lacking. And that game was probably really good for our coaching staff, for Myler, for the players to identify where we need to keep working. So I'm not down in the dumps. I'm obviously gutted we lost the derby. I'm gutted we're out of the Challenge Cup. But you got to take the positives out of it, and there are a lot to take out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And like I've always said, you learn more from the negatives in games than you do winning all the time.
Of course you do, and I think what you said, Jim, is absolutely spot on. If you're an FC fan, in my opinion, for what it's worth, that's where you should be. The way you've moved on this season so far is commendable. I don't think many people expected it, and there's no excuses in it. There's no talk about who you've played, who you haven't played. The performance and the effort and the drive, I said this the other week and got slagged off for saying I was bagging on Hull, is commendable, because I don't think anyone saw it coming. And yeah, I can understand why you are trying to focus on those positives. It means nothing now because you're out the cup and we're happy we're through. But I do like the positive spin on it.
I will point out that Susan is fuming that we're
Flipping
still
out,
talking.
innit?
Did ball number 5 come out?
But what?
Oh, yeah. That's what I said to him. I said, I kept watching on Sunday on my draw and I kept thinking, well, there's them. When's Hull FC with ball number 5 going to get drawn?
On saying all them things that I've just said, I'm going to wind him up even more. I'm
it's our podcast,
really
we'll do what
not
we want.
looking forward to the next 3 weeks. Warrington, Rovers and Wigan.
That'll
That's
give us the
tough.
true indication of where we are. And I'm not expecting to... He's
Tidies
losing.
up like Kenny off South Park, fuming.
Should we just
We'll
keep
get
going?
a
So
true
I've got some more
indication
points that I spoke about.
Of where we are after them 3 games. And I'm not saying losing all 3 would be bad. Not at all. Because we're expected to lose all 3. It's how we
perform
perform.
in them.
Yeah.
We're playing what is
absolutely.
expected to be the top 3 in the league 3 weeks in a row. So, anyway, go on. Press the button.
That was good.
Give me a thumbs up. Right. I forgot what we're doing. Sponsors. There we go. So, this week, are you ready for this? I'm not going to drop you in it.
No, I'm not saying
Sponsored
no.
by Chris Griffin, Carpets and Flooring. As Dean said last week, Chris Griffin is really good at getting his lackeys to do some really good carpet and flooring fitting for him. But on saying that, they are really good pricing. yeah, top notch. He's been doing it for what, about 60 years so far.
It looks like it.
Dean's only 12. That's what the carpet fitting business does to you.
Yeah, no, but in all seriousness, if you want a top notch carpet fitter, yeah, ring Chris. You can turn it off now. We ready? Cool. Right. What are we doing? We're talking about next week. This week.
This week.
Well,
3 days.
I think we've got about 5 minutes on each game,
if that.
because if not, there's knives downstairs, and I aren't trusting Susan with the knives.
Yeah, she's
So,
in the doorway that
Yeah.
we can't get out of.
You
'cause-
guys against Wigan on Friday
Yep.
evening?
Yeah.
8 o'clock kickoff. Yeah, you can watch it in tribal. Just got to
Little
get that in there because
little
we've not
nice
got
segue there.
we've not got a little tribal bit to do this week. But yeah, 8 o'clock kickoff. Rovers and Wigan. Rovers
Everyone
at
organised.
Wigan or
No, at home.
Rovers
At home. Which is a benefit for us, I think, because we're notoriously bad at backing up after a derby. I remember a few seasons ago, well, I say a few, maybe 7, 8, maybe pushing 10. Wigan tenders over 84-6 at Craven Park
that's
after a
not happening
derby.
now, though, is it?
No, it's not, but we are notoriously bad at backing up after a derby.
You said this season. You're notoriously bad at playing Salford. You're notoriously bad at playing Lee. But
Again,
look what's happened.
This is what me and Josh said. You know, we're Rovers fans. We've seen it before, and we are still stuck in that mindset.
We're
a little bit.
notoriously bad at being positive about
Torres is
the
getting banded
upcoming
around.
game. That's what we're struggling with.
The
We
biggest
find it
talking
hard.
point for this game, though, no Mikey.
Yeah.
Jez keep the place. Richardson come on. Batch is back by all accounts as well. So does he slot straight back in and
I don't
goes
think
on the
I'd
bench?
rush Batch with it being a hamstring. I mean, I know all about them. I've had enough of them over my time. Not hamstring injuries, that is.
I was going to say, you've only ever had 2.
But I might not have.
I've only got 1.5, so you cut mine off, didn't they?
But yeah, Mikey, obviously the big miss. What's up?
Just carry on
He's
and
fuming.
quickly.
Go, keep
Look,
going.
I'll answer. I'll
Fudge
answer.
him.
I think what you said about you two have just said about this being the next few games are a big telling point for where you're at. I think this game's a big telling point for us.
Yeah.
The result, if we were to win, wouldn't be the end of the world. But it's about how we compete, and it's about the scoreline, and it's about what we do without Mikey being there.
Mm-hmm.
And to quickly answer the question about does Jez keep that position? No, not at all. He did an amazing job. He slotted in. He's so great to have that extra skill set in him that he can do that. But it was circumstantial, and it also came at the cost of McElroy having to play 80 minutes, a very good 80 minutes. But
Yeah,
he
it
is
was superb, wasn't
he is
He's gotta be
35.
knackered,
How
isn't
do
he?
you look at that? Sorry to interrupt. Do you look at that as in, oh, I'm glad we've seen him play 80 minutes so we know he can do it, or are you thinking, how is he going to pull up this week?
Bit of both.
Yeah, a bit of both. I'm glad that he showed he could do it, and we know he can. I don't want him to do it very often. We also use Jez in a different way off the bench to use his spark this week. We need him at hooker to bring that spark, and we're going to need it against Wigan because they're quite a tight defensive squad as well. So, who I'm going to put in the halves? For me, I actually think it's fair for Richardson to come in as a straight swap for Mikey. He's not my favourite replacement in the world. I still think that going forward with the announcement that May's to be leaving at the end of the year, somebody will come in to take that spot for the long term. But right now, I think it will be, or should be, Richardson.
Have you not got any other options at hooker? Can you not leave Litton in at half? And
Leyland.
Well, to be all fairness, our next best option is to play Morg at half and Broadbent at fullback.
What about Leyland?
Yeah, Bill Lillard, he could spell it hooker. So we've got options, and this is what I said about earlier, where it's a luxury for us. We're able to have these nice selection headaches rather than thinking, oh God, who am I going to put in that position? It's, who can I put in that position? You know, because we're spoiled. And I don't want to blow our own trumpet, but that's testament to us over the past few years and the way we've been building. But that's a whole other.
I do
whole other
think
thing.
it'll be Morg just purely because he was cup tired at the weekend and didn't play. He wants and needs the game time. We are trying to implement him into our first team regularly. It looks like he'll be our fullback going forward. So I think any way to move him in, and
But
that
Broadbent
doesn't
hadn't done enough to
again,
warrant being dropped. Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean that he goes in at fullback, and he can play in the halves very well and has done for Catalan in the past. So I
remember
think
him
that's
tearing
where we
us
might
apart
go.
a few seasons ago. So yeah, that's ours.
yeah,
Over to you guys.
cool.
Oh.
Stop your moaning.
No, he's not. I think he's praising you for.
Was we being praised or? Okay,
Well, I'll
let's-
fill that minute by firstly.
No, you won't. Do you
No, I
know
will.
why?
No.
Because I want to shout about Jared Weir Hargreaves. 'Cause I forgot in my last section.
No.
It's Jimmy's podcast. He'll do what he
It's
wants.
not my podcast. It's all of our podcasts.
Didn't you say you'd wait till after Easter to talk about Jared?
We've said it on Instagram. I think we've said it on Twitter. I don't know what Susan does. She's running free now.
Flats.
Thank you to everyone that watches on YouTube. I think we had 1,700 this week so far.
Last week.
What we'd like is for, if you're watching, give us a like, give us a subscribe, whatever it is.
Share an episode, isn't it?
Yeah, share an episode with your mate. Let's try and get that number even bigger. But for everyone that is watching, thank you very much.
Speaking of watchers, we haven't mentioned his name for a while, but Callum says hi. He asked me to say hi specifically
Why'd you have to
to
ruin
you.
my house in my childhood home?
Well, it's Dean's bedroom, it doesn't matter.
Ruined my night in my childhood home. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and Ray Doddy has been banging on at me for the last few weeks for a shout out. He's going, I've been watching. And he said it to me at the derby at half time as well. So I hope you enjoyed the result, Ray. Not the derby, I mean Hull City beating Sheff Wednesday. So there you go.
One more listener that I want to mention. I'm not going to give his name because I'm not asked. But we did get a message on Instagram, and this is why we do it. We don't do it for any other reason. Like, this is all self-funded. It's we're not getting anything out of this other than that 4 lads and 1 lady get to talk about rugby. Like, it's good for us, it's our well-being kind of thing. But we got a message, and I'll just read it out. Just keep doing what you're doing, guys. It's a great pod. I travel to Barnsley every other weekend to pick up my daughter, and it makes the car journey so easy listening to open and honest rugby chat. Some journeys when I drop my daughter off is hard, but listening to you guys makes the journey better. Seriously, keep doing what you're doing. Jimmy makes me chuckle a lot. Up the black and whites. You don't have to pay attention to the last bit if you're a Rovers fan, but that's why we do this. So yeah, like, subscribe, share it. It does us all a favour.
Sort of message means a lot. Cheers.
And drop their messages in again. People want to put them. I love the bad ones, especially when they're slagging me off. I really do. I get off on it.
Actually,
I've
really
got one for
enjoys
you.
it.
But
I've got one for you. I went to my mum's house the other day, and she said, "Who's that, Josh?" And I went, "Oh, it's some lad that I used to play rugby with, a real close mate."
Some lad.
Well, I don't like him. I was like, "Oh, right. I'll pass on the message then, Mum." So there you go, Mum. I've passed on the message that you don't like Josh, and I'll bring him round next time I come, and we'll try and get you guys to make
the
up.
more Hull fans that try and give me the shit, I love it. we do like the nice comments, but I do like them as well, because we love all the comments and the feedback that comes in. It is good.
It
So-
just means people are paying attention, doesn't it? So
Yeah. Let's touch on our game then. So we've got Warrington away on Saturday.
Yes.
right, prediction? They've touched on it? Joking. Go on.
I think I've spoke about how I'd like to see our spine line
This
up.
is live at Tribal as well. Warrington away Saturday, live at Tribal. If you
Okay.
can't go
Well,
on
we're
a free bus,
we're
you've got
going.
no excuse.
It's nice to see you coming back to an away
Bus
game.
is still free now you've lost the game?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
It wasn't a
Corona's
league game,
loaded.
so it don't count.
Still undefeated.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Backing up a derby with a very depleted pack, second row.
Yeah.
I think our spine will be all right as long as Cuss passes all the protocols, which they're hopeful of he will. Hopefully, Chamberlain had a knock to the knee, so hopefully he'll pull up all right. I'm still not sold on him at second row, but when you're down on numbers, you're down on numbers. I think Hardacre will be our other second rower.
I'll be honest, and this sounds quite harsh, I'm not sold on any of our second row.
No, I
Jed,
feel
when
like
he's fit, fair enough, but Lane, Chamberlain, Holmes, we haven't seen play. I'm not sold on any of
Not
our
your
second row.
no.
No.
Bro.
So it'd be interesting to see how we line up in the second row. But we've got nothing to lose again. Just put a shift in. Just carry on doing what we're doing. Sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not.
Beginning of the
part
season,
process.
that's all we asked for, innit?
Yeah.
For the players to put a shift in. And credit to every single player that's pulled on black and white this season. Every single player has put a shift in. But now we're getting to a point where mindsets are mindsets are starting to change. And I'm looking at that squad and thinking, on our day, we shouldn't be looking at 9th anymore. We should be looking at 7th, possibly even 6th.
Yeah, I'm starting to. It'd be when we play the likes of Leeds and go around to Catalan again and Saints even, because
But
I
the
don't
fellow
think
mid-table side, so to speak.
and I don't like to say that with Saints, but I don't think Saints are
They're not what they
the
used
top
to
dogs
be,
at the
are they?
minute.
No.
I believe that's
They're quite depleted
Warrington,
as well.
you
at the
and
minute.
Wigan at the minute. So it'd be interesting to see where we're at them. But it's get through these 3 games, see where we're at, and then we can assess going forward from there. Hopefully no more injuries, because it's starting to take its toll a little bit now. But no, I think defensively I worry for us, especially out on the flanks. Going forward, Cust coming back, I think we'll settle Caesar down and we'll see a bit more from him. And I'd like to see Price at fullback. I really would, because I think the freedom that'll give him, because he is an eyes up rugby league player, and him popping up all over the place. Yeah, I think we could cause Warrington some problems on Saturday. I don't know if it'll be enough for a win, but I think it'll be make for an entertaining game.
Look, Price is a player that's not been able to make it work in the NRL, but he has been able to make it work in the reserve grades there. And
that's still a decent level.
And this is Jimmy's looking like I'm about to slag him off. Before he
No,
left,
did you just call him Luke Price?
I thought you said Luke.
Price is a player that.
Unless he said Luke like a Jordan.
Luke.
I said, look, Price is
it sounded like you just called him Luke.
I'm glad
Price.
we've got
I said
loads of
Luke.
time to record tonight.
Yeah,
and
we
got
have.
onto this. Right, he's a player that's not been able to make it work in the NRL. He has been able to do bits and bobs in the reserve grades down under. However, when he left Super League, before he left, he was looking very, very good. And I do think there is a very good player there. And if you can find the right position for him and get him clicking, he will do a lot of great things for you. And whether that's fullback, whether it takes a few more weeks to bed in, he will be a dangerous player, and he will be someone that can help you in those close games. And then hopefully going forward, if you're going to start coming and staying up the top of the table, he's definitely a star for the future. So I think there's positives definitely for him there.
I think for me, if we were getting a bit more out of Rapana, I would leave Rapana there, but obviously we're not, so we have to consider him for fullback. But ideally, for me, you'd have Caesar at 7, Price at 6. That frees up Cust to slot in either as a starting 9 or an interchange 9, because I think a fair few people have alluded to it. Burrow is, I said it beginning of the season, I didn't ever look at Burrow and think that's a good starting 9. Whether he's just in to wait until Deneve comes through and really sets on fire, I don't know. But for me, I'd have Cust starting at 9 if I could. But I agree with what Dean's saying. Because Rapana's not doing the job, you have to start considering Price for fullback. But I also agree with what Josh is saying. I think there is a top quality Super League player in there somewhere. It's just
going into the NRL and being in that environment is only going to help him going forward as well. And although he did play a lot of NRL first grade games, but like I said, being in that environment will only be a positive for us going forward.
Look, he didn't make a lot of first team because he was a bit of a defensive liability, and he needed support from the players around him, and the players obviously didn't, and he couldn't keep up in the first team. If you can find the right slot and the players to look after him and have the right people, your worry is that you have too many injuries and you get slot him in the right spot, you put him on your right edge where you're notoriously weak anyways, and it can be a bit of a repeat of what cost him a stint in Oz.
Yeah. It's just what we've not got. We've not got that right now, but for Susan's sake, we'll move on.
Before he gives himself an aneurysm.
Just to touch on it again, both games, Rovers at home to Wigan, Friday, 8 o'clock.
8 p.m, yeah.
Hull away at Warrington Saturday. What time are we kicking off? 5:30. If you're not going to either game, head down to Tribal. They've got a nice new beer garden for you to go to outside as well. They'll be showing both games live on the big
At
screen.
least you'll be back at a reasonable time.
What, from Tribal?
No, from
because it's 5 minutes down the road.
Warrington.
It's still going to be 10 o'clock, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's reasonable.
Yeah.
When we
True.
went to
Yeah,
St
that's
Helens,
true,
I didn't get back till 1:15.
Anyway,
Coach then.
Ooh, we drive.
right, predictions. Craig,
Yeah?
this is still you.
It is still me.
Go on then.
Salford Leeds, first game of the week, Thursday night at Salford. I have gone for Leeds by 10.
Leeds by 12.
Leeds by 18.
Leeds by 14.
And Susan has gone for Leeds by 16.
Just a quick one. Do we know if Watkins is available to play that one? Because I know the signing's going through, aren't it?
I would assume so then, because it's before the window, isn't it? 'Cause it's
Yeah, what?
48 hours beforehand, I think.
He should
When
be
are they the
okay.
Thursday game?
Yeah,
Today's Tuesday. It got
but it's
announced
still
that-
48
got
hours
announced
because
today.
it's 8 p.m, innit? So
Yeah.
think it should be
squads,
okay.
squads are announced at 12 o'clock, aren't they, today? So maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but
anyway,
they
we'll-
could have
we'll
quite
see.
easily announced a 20-man squad with a space.
yeah.
We did it with
like
Night,
you
didn't we?
guys did, yeah. Moving on to Friday night. One of the ties of the round, I would say. Ourselves versus Wigan. I think it's going to be tight and tense. I've gone for Rovers by 4.
Josh?
Yeah, we're going to go down the line. I've got Rovers by 4. I'm not I'm not as confident as I've been. But if we're going to do something, I think we could really make a point by winning this game. And if there was any way that really gave me a chance to think, actually, we can do this, it's because we're at home. And I think 4 points is a close margin, but would show that we can be that bit better.
I'd like to see us... Sorry, Dean, just to interrupt you there. I'd like to see us win a game like that, like a really close... I know we had a couple at the start of the season, but while we're playing like this, I'd like to see us win a game like that.
No Watkins in the 21-man squad.
Was it a full 21?
Yeah.
No, right,
Yeah.
okay.
So-
fair enough. So, Dean, how many points have you got Rovers to win by?
4.
Oh, me too.
What's Susan got?
6. Rovers by 6. Spoil sport.
Ruined it.
That's why you're over there and we're over here.
That's why you don't get announced when we go on number side.
Come on, you've just told him to hurry up.
Go on then. Yeah, we've got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Tops.
On to probably another tie of the round, I think. Could be a good game. St Helens Wakefield. I've gone for Saints by 8. I know Wakefield are good on the road, but oh my god, we haven't.
What you got?
Saints by 8.
Saints by 8. Saints by 8.
Oh, I've got Saints by 6. Ooh. Susan?
I don't know why I looked at them. They're them. Saints by 8.
No way.
Oh, so I'm the odd one out of this
Yeah,
one. Yeah. Go
I do
on.
agree though with your first point. I think that'll be a hell of a game to watch.
I hope it's
Yeah.
better than the last one because that was a drab.
At Wakefield.
Yeah.
Wakefield are better away at the moment.
To be
than
fair,
they
they
are.
are,
Wakey
yeah.
are travelling so well. I
Saints
wasn't that
are-
They have
impressed
won
with
it all.
Saints.
Saints are a bit depleted by all accounts, according to Wellens. So we'll see. Should be a good game. Another good game. Hopefully, you guys away at Warrington. I think it'll be close. I've gone for Warrington by 6.
I felt that what you were saying earlier about not being so impressed by Saints so far this season, thinking they could be classed as a middle of the table team. I actually thought watching Sunday's Challenge Cup game between Saints and Wyre, Saints had some sort of similarities to yourselves. There was definitely quality out on the pitch, but it wasn't quite gelling, or there was mistakes and injuries. And I think it'll be a very similar game to that. So while I do think Wyre will win, I don't think it's going to be that big, and I actually think I've got Wyre by 10. I think you'll probably have a good backup, and I don't think you've got enough to beat them. But Wyre by 10, I think is fair.
I've gone Wyre by 10, and I think, and I don't normally say this for an all game, I think we're in for that'll be the game of the round.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be high scoring.
Some
I think
good
both
games
teams are
this
going to be in the 20s. But yeah, I do have Wyre by 10.
I've gone Wyre by 8 and...
Wyre by 10, but both teams in the 20s.
No, both teams to score over 20.
Oh,
I mean,
right, okay, I'll
sorry.
let you off. Yeah.
Wyre by 8.
8, sorry, yeah. And Susan has gone for Warrington by 14. I think that's red and white glasses a little bit there.
Well, maybe not. Tiring derby to back up to, so back up from.
Castleford versus Lee at the Jungle. I think, is that Saturday as well?
Yeah.
I've gone for Lee by 14. Castleford are a bit hit and miss.
Lee by 14.
Lee by 8.
Lee by 12.
And Susan's got Lee by 12.
Well done,
And
Susan.
finally, this is going to be the tie of the round. I think the biggest attendance as well. Huddersfield versus Catalan. I think it'll be close. I don't think it'll be a very good game if I'm being totally honest. Catalan by 6.
I've gone Catalan by 24.
Wow.
Catalan by 12.
I'm on Catalan by 16.
And Susan's gone for Catalan by 12. So there's not too much discrepancy in our predictions again, but
Have we all backed the same winner for every tie?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the points.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting to see where we're out next week then.
Very.
Right.
yeah,
Right. I think that's it.
that was eventful. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It'll be,
Unorganised but fun.
yeah, we like it.
Hearing that Jimmy's mum no longer likes me didn't really
I don't think she ever did.
didn't really kindle joy.
She don't like many people.
No, she don't like me. Yeah, that's it then. So, yeah, once again, recorded kind of at Tribal.
At Tribal, but not at Tribal.
We're sorry for the
Yeah.
late release this week. We are recording on a Tuesday.
And it's
so-
Craig's fault.
Yeah.
That's me.
And again, sponsored by Chris Griffin, Carpets and Flooring. So, yeah,
At Not Tribal, the home of the pod.
I just said that.
You didn't say home of the pod.
Could have fooled me.
Well, it's not the home of the pod. It's,
You didn't say not home of the pod.
it's
either.
my house.
Come on.
Right.
Don't forget Dean's. Anyways, see you
it's
bye.
my house. Thank you very much. Yeah, cool. See you bye.
See you, bye.
See you
That's
back.
been corrected. Second time, see you bye.